Recording, there we go. Okay, so we're going to start with just we'll start with an assessment of our upper body, because we're going to go into, we'll start with a head and kind of a neck treatment. The other reason why we're going to do a head and neck treatment is partly because of, again, because of cold season, and so we can clear our head, and again, clear our head of sinuses. All of our sinuses drain. We are on, not everybody's muted. There we go. So our sinuses drain, they drain through our musculature. So they drain down to the thoracic duct that's underneath the clavicle, the first vertebra. I'm sorry, not the vertebra, the ribs, and then it drains down primarily on your left side towards the heart. So remember, every system in the body drains back toward the heart. The venous return goes back to the heart. Your nerve endings, they in a sense don't go back to your heart, but they touch the heart, as well as the lymphatic drainage. So lymphatics are all around the body. They kind of primarily connect through also in around joints areas. So we have ankles, back of knees, hip joints, the joint essentially access points, the sternocleidomastoid at your belly, across all the joints at your rib cage, your thoracic duct, your brachial joint, your elbows, the neck, and all kinds of stuff. We're not going to go over the entire face structure. We're just going to do from your collarbones kind of up and back down. And then, of course, if you want to look up more information on this, you can go on my YouTube channel and again, follow this. I do this, like if I'm around people that are cold, flu, sick, blah, 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 or if I've had it, I do a lot of this drainage work on a regular basis. Sometimes I'll do it multiple times a day just to make sure I'm clear and open. And again, always drinking water afterwards before will help to kind of rinse everything out. Remember, everything has a minimum effective dose. Minimum effective dose meaning if you do it 17 times, it's probably overkill. But if you only do it once every other month, it's probably not enough also. And so if you're wondering why you're not getting the results you want, it may be consistency, and also learning anything and doing anything takes a little bit of time. So let's start with our forearms coming together. And so we can kind of notice any tension, pressure, or pulling in our chest and shoulders, just like we would do with an upper body treatment. Open the palms out. Notice if that increases any intensity, any pull down the back of the wrist. We're not really going to do a hand treatment, but it's just an assessment. And go ahead and lower the hands. Take a deep breath. And then exhale. Notice if inhaling or exhaling creates any more extra tension, or if you're just blocked in your sinuses in any way. And then just go ahead and lower the hands down. So we're going to start at our left collarbone. So right here is your collarbone, goes to your clavicle, goes all the way out to what's called your AC joint. And you're just going to gently rub at that collarbone above it, kind of towards the neck. And the reason why is because you've got to start somewhere. Plus, we're going to pull everything down in a second. So about 3 or 4 times above, and then go below the collarbone and about 3 or 4 times below. And you're not doing too hard of pressure. And then you're going to rub up and down across the collarbone about 5 times or so. And then you're going to pat that same area 5 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then you're going to pull down 5 times. So 5, 5, 5, 5, 5. Good. We'll start on the right side. So this may be tender. You're going to start out really light and easy. Go underneath the collarbone. Go up and down over the collarbone. And I'm just going back and forth. That's all 5. So I'm just going to go 5 over, 5 under, 5 over and back. 5 pats, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then now I'm pulling across to my opposite shoulder where I started. And then 1 more. Then I'm going to go behind that point behind and underneath where the corner of the jawline comes in. And I'm just up and down, rubbing down to the base of my neck. So I'm going down the sternocleidomastoid muscle, the SCM muscle. And then I'm going to go a little bit harder. So I'm just going to kind of wiggle back and forth, keep my finger on the skin And remember, I'm not pinching the skin or anything like that. I'm just moving that tissue one more time. And then we'll tap. I'm just going to use 4 fingers and we're going to tap 5 times. And then we're going to pull down 5 times. And sometimes you may notice a little bit of draining already. And again, nice and light. You can go up and down about 5 times. And I have just enough pressure on this first round where it just kind of feels like I'm just a little bit harder than kind of tickling at it. And then when I go a little bit deeper, I'm actually feeling the muscle move and putting a little bit more pressure in there, kind of moving the skin. I'm not rubbing on the skin, but I'm moving the tissue back and forth. One more time. And then you can take all 4 fingers and tap 5 times and then down and across. Just pull down. And this doesn't have to be particularly hard. And across. Good. And then just taking my glasses off, we're going to go up underneath the eyes. So we're going to do it on both sides at the same time. So you're just going to start with your eyes and just tap underneath your eyes. You can look up if you want to. That way you don't feel like you're looking or if you're going to get poked in the eye. So we're going underneath and just above the bony structure at the cheekbones. And then I'm going to just start on my left side. And I'm going to start as deep as I can towards the corner of my eye and just wiggle back and forth all the way down and then towards my ear hole right there. So just all the way down and then towards that hole. And this again is a drainage point for your sinuses as well as your lymph. And we'll go one more time. And then I'm going to take my index finger and I'm going to pull down, keep connection to, pull from my eye down and away. And no, this doesn't affect so much your skin, but it's not necessarily bad for you to do because of skin. So then we're going to do the other side. So again, it's just, you've got that tapping on this one, and then you're just going to kind of pull across and down. And then keep your finger on the skin, go down all the way to that right kind of ear hole, and then down. Go ahead and wiggle your ears. Both of them, just doing them both at the same time. This releases the tension behind the earlobe. And again, it's one of those things that we just kind of forget that we can do. We can touch our whole body and create release of tension. Good, you might even feel your ear. You can pull your ear away from your ear hole. Just give a little tension. This may help your neck move a little bit easier as well. You get congestion back here. These muscles get tight. You get lack of drainage. So from there, we're going to go just above the forehead. And again, you're just going to rub the top of the forehead. I'm rubbing up and down in opposition on each side, down towards my temples, towards the sphenoid bone. Then I'm going to go side to side. And again, it's super simple to do. You could do this in the shower. You could do this at a stoplight. And then I'm going to tap gently, but nice, 5 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then I'm just going to kind of go down around the back of my ear and then towards my left side. Down around the back of my ear and then towards the left side. Just do that 5 times. And I'm not trying to do it hard, just kind of just like as if you're letting water drain down your face. And that's it on that. You just kind of open your eyes if you want. Go ahead and put those forearms together. Go ahead and open the palms. Just kind of notice up here in your shoulders more so than the release of your hands maybe, or there may be some release. Open out and then close and then down. So again, it may not be the biggest release from like a ball treatment, but it gives you that opportunity to release your neck, give your neck and all of the sinuses that do get clogged up, people's perfumes, people if you get in the elevator with a bunch of people, all that stuff. So we're going to go to the opposite end of the body and we're going to get your feet now. Now I'm going to move back a little bit so you can see my feet, because the last thing you want to do is do something and can't even see my feet. Let me see if I can move back a little bit more. I'm sitting up on my roller just so it's easier to see It's easier for me to be off the ground. If you're on the ground, if you want to be sitting in a chair, it's fine either way. So from here, I want you to just take your index finger, so just your index finger, and you're just going to I'm just sitting in a relaxed situation. I'm going to start at the crease of my toe, right where my index toe, my first little piggy goes to market, I guess, and then at my big toe. And I'm just starting there, and we're just rubbing just enough pressure. What I mean by that is you're not trying to get through the skin, but you are just kind of rubbing back and forth until you get to really the base of the metatarsals, and then go back. And then go down again, and you can go in a circle. And again, like I said, you could use the head of the eraser of a pencil, and that gets a little deeper there. It can be a little bit more tender. And then back. I'm really going to do this one foot. This one joint, because the rest of the joints are just too small. Good. Go ahead and pause. Take your ball. Move your foot a little bit away if you can see that. It's just kind of a little bit out in front of me. And I'm going to do my ankle. So I'm just going to have my foot out in front so it's not bent here at 90 degrees, but it's slightly out in front so there's some space. And I'm just going to take the ball, and you can do this with your thumb as well, or your fingers, and you're just going to kind of rub back and forth. With the ball, you create some friction. You could do this with your thumbs. Like I said, you can go back and forth with both of your thumbs, but it's just a little nicer with the ball. So you're just going to create a little friction right here in that space where your ankle meets your foot. And then just hold, and then make this with your toes. And then again, and make this with your toes. And then one more time. And then let's go to the ankle. So the outside of the ankle, the lateral side. And again, you can do this with your thumb. You're just going to press back and forth. That tissue can get very tight. And so it's part of the fascial tissue. And then you're just going to go back and forth with that ball. You can spin that ball side to side, pause, and then we'll go to the inside. And does it really matter? You want the ankle to be soft enough so the skin is not pulled tight. And then just under the inner ankle bone, you're just rolling back and forth again. Catherine's now left. Now the cats totally always want to be with me. Good. And then relax. Simple movement. Take your hands, and you're just going to twist your ankle. Now, why so much work on the ankle? Well, the ankle gets really stuck, sore and tired, from being in the shoe, from being seated, from walking, all kinds of stuff. So, and again, the foot is the end range of all movement of the body. So blood flow, lymph flow, nerve flow, all has to flow back and forth through the ankles. Good. And so just roll your ankle around a couple of times. And let's go to the other side. Good. So I'm just going to tuck my foot under. Hopefully you can still see me. Just open my toes a little bit. If you have one of those little wedges to put between your toes, that's fine. Take your finger right at the crease where the big toe kind of loops around with the index toe, and then just kind of rub forward and back. And again, this can be quite tender for people. So if it's tender for you, you know you're hitting something, because you didn't know it was tender until you put your finger there. Good. Now go to a little circle. My left foot's a lot more tender than my right foot was. And then back. Good. That's really all you have to do. You're just opening that nerve line, the end right at your big toe. And then again, with your left foot, take the ball. Or again, you can take your thumbs and just kind of move up and down or forward and back. So you're not using the ball, but you're not going anywhere. Remember, you're just kind of moving the skin. You're not sliding the thumbs back and forth. Or you have the ball, pin, and twist the ball up and down, or kind of like you're twisting something with a ball. Pause, make fists with your toes. And then again, so you're opening up this space. This is a return line, back up the shin. And then pause one more time, make fists with your toes. And then spin last time. This time I'm just going to start with the inner part, but just make sure my foot is soft. So I got little wrinkles there. And then just again, underneath the ankle bone, just twist. And you can do this with your thumb, just back and forth, and just move that fascial tissue. And then let's do the other side. Same idea. Just twist. Or again, just move that fascial tissue around. Always remember, one part of the body affects another. So if you're tender on the top of the foot, it's going to help the bottom of the foot. So you don't have to necessarily do the top and the bottom. But it's the same idea when we do melt, when we do original strength stuff. We don't always work both sides, but one will affect the other. And you might as well, in a sense, work the front line of the body and then just take the ankle back and forth like you're twisting at the ankle and work one side of the body. It's less intense. There's less activity, on top of the fact the front is a lot easier to get to than the back. Someone's texting in. I don't know who it is. Real quick, let me just see. We'll go back. Sorry, guys. So anyway, and then just roll the ankles. So roll those ankles around. You can roll your right one, your left one, go clockwise, go counterclockwise. But I'm a firm believer that if we are having a problem with our feet, we need to give them more love, more attention. Touch them. I know it's annoying to touch your own feet, but they are your feet. So if you don't like them, no one else is going to like them either. So start being good to your toes. All right, go ahead and just put the ball away from right now. And we're going to do some stretches that we did similar to what we did on Saturday. I'm going to move my mat just a little bit closer because we're going to be mostly on the ground. And so you can hear me maybe better and see me maybe better. But we did a lot of, on Saturday, for all those who were able to come, we did a lot of figure 4 pigeon type poses and that kind of stuff. So we're going to start on our back. So just lay straight back on your back. Now, I know we just did that whole head and then just kind of dropped it. But remember, what we do to the top of the body affects the bottom. What we do to the bottom affects the top. So it's not just that we just left it to go. We're just attending to what is fine to do. And it'll also give you an opportunity to maybe, if you only have exposure to your head at some point, just do a head treatment. If you're ready to just do some footwork because you just took your shoes off, knock yourself out and just do a foot treatment. All right, so let's warm up the hips just a tiny bit with no roller, no extra movement at all. And you're just going to go side to side, just kind of warming up thoracic spine, inguinal joint. And always remember, movement fixes movement, but it's always about minimum effective dose. So we don't want to overdo it. I've kind of decided I'm kind of a little bit opposed to like the 90-minute once and done massage, because sometimes by the time you actually go get that massage, you tend to be like, oh, gotta get myself a massage. But then it's 90 minutes, it's so intense. You think, I'll get it all done now. And then it's just almost too much for your system. And very often, a lot of people feel sick, worse, or just terrible after a massage. And then it doesn't really make your overall last very long. So let's bring the knees up. Let's work around the thoracic spine a little bit more. Drop your knees to your right and to your left. Remember, your thoracic spine is the juncture between your lower half of the body, essentially. In the upper half, it moves the diaphragm. It moves the sternocleidomastoid, that large lymph node space. It's the largest lymph node, really conglomerate in your body, which is just below your rib cage. 2 more to each side. And then you also get a little bit of movement for the upper brachial joint area, the shoulders, and the back, of course. One more time, each side. Good. Bring those knees back together and then drop your feet to the ground. Recorrect as you need to. And then let's just take the right ankle over the left knee. And then take that right hand without letting the tailbone tuck. Drop that tailbone down, just a gentle pressure. So we're not doing too much. You may or may not even feel any stretching. Remember, stretching or overstretching of an area without mobilizing an area really is setting yourself up once again for injury. And so people say, oh, I need to find a stretch for this and a stretch for that. And in my opinion, because they just don't have good vocabulary on what they really are looking for, they're looking to mobilize an area, not just to pull the muscle long, but to actually get the joint to relax and reduce tension and stress, as well as the muscle to be able to take the joints through the range of motion more effectively. And then let's do the other side. Just cross the left ankle over the right. Use your left hand, just a gentle pressure. So again, I get that people say stretching, I just want to stretch that out. But in reality, it's I want to mobilize the area so I move more effectively, or my hips or my whatever aren't as much tension. It's just stretching on its own. It's actually pulling and taking the joints apart forcibly or mobilizing is going to help to restore movement overall in an area. All right, go ahead and bring those knees into the chest. Give them a nice little squeeze. Lower your left foot, fold across, and just give a nice little kind of a happy baby's pose, single leg, foot towards the ceiling, hip open, let the weight of the leg drop out. Keep the foot that's on the ground just kind of steady and stable. You'll feel a deep stretch on the inner groin, the thigh. Breathing. Bring that right foot back in, extend your left leg. Let's take that right leg across the body. So you're still keeping the right shoulder down and then allowing for that right knee to cross the midline of the body. Big deep breath and relax. And then bring that right knee back in. Let's slide the left foot in, drop the right foot, bring the left mid leg in. Let's do happy baby's pose on the left side. Now, of course, you can always do the full happy baby's pose, and that feels different, but sometimes it's just nice to be able to do one side. And just hold, let the weight of the body carry the leg down. Instead of trying to force or push or pull, it's just my hand is holding. I'm not really doing anything. I'm just letting the weight of the body do the work. Letting the breath press in and open up, creating some space. And then release that leg, extend the right leg, and then let's take the left knee over the midline of the body. Again, I'm just holding my knee in space because it feels nice, but I'm not doing a lot of work to yank myself over. I'm just letting my my left foot is kind of hanging in space, just nice and easy. So it's not a lot of work to try to get that left glute open. It's more just kind of a kinder, gentler way to go. And then bring that self back together. So bring those knees in and then roll both as one unit to one side. And I want you to set up your roller. Now, if you don't have a roller, that's totally fine. You can take your mat and roll it up like a roller and do it on your mat. You can have a blanket, a towel, whatever, and do your roller that way. So I'm going to show you with the roller here. So I'm just going to take my femur, my thigh, and I'm going to place it on the roller. So my thigh is straight in line. My left leg is kind of back like a Z or a 90-degree position. And then, so my hip, my knee is on the roller. That's it. So typically the pigeon pose is that your knee is on the ground and your shin is trying to go 90 degrees. And then I'm going to fold forward. So this just gives a variation of getting into pigeon pose. I move my hand. You put your hand on the outside of the roller, but it just lifts the hips up, drops, and I can get my shin to 90 degrees to the top of the mat. And then I want to lengthen my spine and fold it over. So I'm opening up the inguinal joint, the deep joint at the crease where the thigh meets the torso. Take a deep breath. and come forward. So remember, when we get off the ground a little bit, just like for our hamstrings, we can stretch a little bit different, a little bit deeper. You can have a pillow underneath this leg. You can be up on a chair. You can be up on the back of a couch. Or you could be on your bed right here, wherever works. You're just up a little bit higher. Instead of on the floor, it's just a little bit more gentle. And I'm going to come up a little bit, and I'm going to turn toward my leg that's on the roller and fold over. And then I'm going to walk myself back in. I'm going to slide my back knee up. I'm just going to kind of fall off the roller. That's it. Okay, so we got that one side. Now we're going to do the other side. So again, I just got the roller. However, just going to drop my hip onto the roller, bring my femur along the length of the roller. My leg is kind of like a 90-degree position here. My back leg is on the 90-degree position, and I just fold forward. And with the height, it just gives a variability to the movement. And maybe it's easier to do than being all the way to the ground. I can come forward, I can bring my hands down a little bit deeper, and maybe it just doesn't, at first, getting into it, maybe it's a little bit of work, but allowing yourself to just fold into the posture is really a nice way to go. And then I'm going to come back up, and I'm going to turn away from the camera, but I'm going to drop over the side. So a little rotation, a little bit of a flexion. And then walk my hands back to center, and then tuck my foot in, and then I'm off my roller altogether. So something relatively simple, but a nice different variation of pigeon pose. So let's just do a knees rocking, eyes, head, and chest up, toes are curled under. We're going to do about 4 positions with the feet. No equipment needed. Breathing, turn your toes in, and the tops of your feet are down. Turn your toes out, just your big toes are on the ground. Now, if you want to go wider, so if I'm wider with my knees, which you may not be able to see very well, I can turn my feet out bigger because I just have more space. Turn those toes out. Good, and this gets us a little bit more inner thigh, which is really nice. Good, I'm gonna have one toe down and one toe in. So my right foot is pointed back, my left toe is curled under. And then I'm gonna switch. My left toe is back, my right toe is curled under. And then I'm gonna bring my toes both under. About 4 more times with my toes curled under, eyes, head, and chest forward. This just is a postural position. We tend to be in a rounded upper back, flexion all day long from working. And then pause, toes point back, both of them at the same time. You can go a little deeper if you want, a little further forward if you want. And then we're going to go one leg. So bring your right leg forward so you're in a half kneeling. And you can always do this really as higher up if you don't like your knee on the ground, or you can have the roller underneath your knee for that matter, or a block. Like I can do this with the roller underneath my shin and go forward and back. And this is really just kind of for height or comfort. Changes the position a little bit. Turn your toe out. I'm going to take the roller up underneath my knee. And just change this to a little bit more inner thigh and outer thigh. Turn my toe in. Don't have as much range of motion there. That's totally normal, totally fine. And then do the other side. Take my foot down. My left foot's coming up. And then just knees rocking, single leg forward. Now, I'm also trying to keep my heel on the ground. That's a key point there. I'm not trying on this to lift my toes up or my heel up to go onto my toes. I want to try to maintain an even movement pattern. Turn your toe out. And again, you can see I'm not trying to come down so far, just stay even forward and back. And then turn my toe in. My knee is essentially tracking with my toes, but also slightly going forward. Good. And then let's go back to regular knees rocking. Sit back as far as you can. Come forward. My toes are pointed back. And then you're going to curl those toes under a limb that's maybe tender for you. Be careful. Roll up onto the ball of the feet. And then just sit. So I've got my elbows inside my inner thighs. And I'm actually stretching my inner thigh. Just letting the weight of my body drop into my elbows. If this bugs your feet at all, just do less or don't, or you can sit and kind of use your elbows to press outward. Also, when I sit, when we transition, I'll show you. And then let's go back. So what I mean by that, if you don't want to put weight on your feet, you bring your feet together and then you push your legs out. But you're also not just like pushing down. It's not like that old butterfly. So you're sitting up as tall as you can and you're leaning forward and pushing out. So it's just a different variation. I don't know that this is as effective as when your weight is down, but it definitely doesn't put any pressure on your feet. Yeah, bring those knees together. Hold the knees. Remember, the purpose for holding the knees with the elbow in the hand is to create balance in the pelvis. So you're not twisting the pelvis and rotate. So if your hand slips in, your left hip, as you rotate to the right, is going to also kind of rotate, and you don't really want that. And we're just going to hold this for about 5 breaths. So you can go in a little bit deeper without any tension or pain. Tolerable pressure is fine. And then let's go the other direction. Again, holding the right hand around the knee and then rotating to the left. Again, I'm pushing my knee and my knees outward into my hand and my elbow crease. And that creates a little bit more stability for the hips themselves. Breathing. And then back to center. Let's go back to our back again, like all the way back. And all I want you to do is stretch those legs out nice and long. And we're just going to move. So for me, so my feet aren't here, I'm going to move my mat a little bit. I've got 2 mats here, and I'm so luxury. And you're just going to point and flex your ankles. And why are we doing that? Partly because we don't move our ankles enough. And just move them. It's very unsightly and annoying. I'm sorry. I'm just moving my mat so I can easily move my ankles because my floor, my feet will slide on my floor instead of grabbing onto my mat. So moving those ankles in this non-loaded position, roll the ankles. Really is great for connecting upward because we're not doing any forcible movement. Rotate the other way, but yet still we're getting some great motion for the nervous system at the base of the body. And then we're just going to roll out and roll in, roll out, roll in. You can move from the hip here. So if you're sore, stuck, and tired, focus on your feet for a little bit. And then pause, slide your feet in. And then take your foot in your hand. If you can, interlace your finger through your toes. And you're just going to rotate your ankle. So if you can get each one of those fingers in between each one of those toes, that's fantastic. If that's not there for you, do as best you can. And then go the other direction. Now you can, of course, do this sitting up, but we're lying down. That's why we're doing it this way. And let's do the other foot. So again, you can grab from the front, you can grab from the back. You're just holding the spaces open between your toes. This is going to open up the joint space, get more fluid return, get more motion in those toes. More motion in those toes, the rest of the body just feels better. And then go ahead and pause. So simple things, head treatment, rib cage movement, side to side, foot treatment stuff, and just a nice, easy pigeon positions. Giving yourself opportunities to just to find some movement from different angles. Bring both knees into your chest, give them a nice little squeeze. Let's take both knees to our right. Use your arms to make sure that your upper back is evenly placed on the ground. Big deep breath. Sink into that left shoulder. Should feel pretty nice. Kind of that lovely tensional pull. And then bring both knees in. And let's go to the left. Drop both knees over. Let that right arm open. Big deep breath. Sink into that right shoulder. And then release. Go ahead and roll with your side of your body. Bring yourself up. And we are done today. I know it's kind of when we spend a bit of time doing small things, it seems to take a lot of time to do all the rest of the stuff. All right.